What would you say then over the years that you've learned about your own creative process? Um, Maybe something that's kind of taken you a long time to learn about yourself.
Um, I don't know. I think just really not being afraid, you know, not worrying about what other people think. And that has a lot to do with the confirmation that I've gotten from the people that I've worked with,
Mm.
because before I used to really overanalyze, oh, what are people going to think, and this and that. But then it's like when you're working with artists that you admire, like they're not going to just work with you for no reason. So like that gave me more confidence. And, so that's just kind of how it's unfolded, I guess.
What kills your creativity then? We're talking about how to be more creative, but have you found things that are damaging for your creativity?
Um, I haven't had much problem with that in a long time. I feel like I can be pretty creative like anytime for the most part, Not always like on the first try or whatever, but like if I just sit down and really just um commit to like I'm gonna make something, like I can come up with something. I might listen to it the next day and be like, no, that's not gonna be something that I'm gonna put out. But um but I don't feel like I'm stuck either, I'm still gonna write and kind of go through stuff. I still make the majority of stuff I make are still not gonna see the light of day,
Mm.
but there's a book, I forget what it's called. The not the yeah, The Art of War is like the book by, I think it's
It's
Sun
it's
Tzu.
um the art, the isn't it the war of art?
So the War of Art is the one that I was getting at, is like the one about art. So so that book has been huge for me because it's like it talks about, first the difference between um a hobby and a profession.
Mm.
Like the person who makes music as a hobby, like they don't have any pressure, like just have fun with it. But if you look at it as a professional, you don't have days that you're like, oh, I just don't feel like working, because if you don't sit down that day, it talks about like the muse, like we channel like the muse. And like if you have days that you can't, like the muse isn't quite talking to you or coming through you, that's okay. But if the muse is going to come through to you and you're not working that day, you know, you better find yourself working, because if not, you're going to miss an opportunity to maybe make that big record or have that big moment that,
Yeah.
might be the one, So I don't get tired of sitting down and creating, at least right now. I've definitely, over the years, trust me, I've had plenty of times of years of just not even wanting to open it up. But the point I'm at now in my life, and, the clarity that I have, and um, the just the passion that I have, like I could do it every day.
Yeah. And it's a privilege to be able to make music, every day, or, to do what we do, isn't it? The War of Art is a fantastic book. It's Stephen Pressfield. And
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
is in my mind because someone put me onto another book of his, which I'm not sure actually if it came out recently or a longer time ago, but it was just put onto me, called Turning Pro. That concept that you mentioned is a small snippet of the War of Art books. I think it's a chapter or some part of it that he talks about, and he's written a book which you can easily. I listened to it all today, basically, so it's probably like 2 hours long. 1.5 speed or whatever. But yeah, it's the same thing, just about turning pro, just the difference between amateurs versus professionals. And I
Exactly.
think if we can all adopt that, if you're ever wondering like why you're not getting enough done, or you're not finishing enough music or whatever it is, it's probably because you're approaching your music career or your music production just as an amateur, essentially. And if you can do it as if you are a professional, it completely switches it up. So it's not like we need to prescribe what that looks like, because I think deep down we're all going to know, like, well, if you're doing it as your profession, it's going to completely change it. You're not just going to do it when you feel like it. You're going to go 9 in the morning till 5 at night, or whatever you can do within the constraints of your life. But you're not going to just do it when you feel like it. You're not going to go
Right.
and get stoned and then make music. You're not going to, do you know what I mean? Just kind of do it on the slide and then not finish on the side and then not finish music, because that's not how a professional does it.
Exactly.